So I noticed in the comments to one of my last videos that some people got a little angry when I made a Donald Trump joke. I mean, come on. I've ragged on Lindsay Lohan, Vladimir Putin, Miley Cyrus, Keanu Reeves, Chick-fil-A, Beliebers, French people, hipsters, and Matthew McConaughey. But I can't rag on Trump? Seriously though, I don't want any of my fans to feel picked on because of your political allegiance. I love you all equally. From my Hill Dogs and my Burns victims, through to the cruise missiles and my wonderful trampolines. But whether you love him or you hate him, you've got to admit that Donald is a pretty strange and mysterious character. At this point, a hack comedian would make some goofy remark about how it's a mystery how his hair defies gravity, or how he manages to look more orange than actual orange rolled in Cheetos dust. But we're way too smart to make those kind of jokes, even though we just did. No. Instead, we're going to investigate some of the strangest rumors surrounding the leading Republican candidate. For example, did Donald Trump really see Muslims cheering on 9/11? How did he evade the draft for the Vietnam War? And do you believe the conspiracy theory that Trump is a secret Democrat? Let's find out more in the top 6 mysteries of Donald Trump. Number 1. What does Donald Trump believe in? Donald Trump began his voting life as a Democrat before switching to Republican in 1987, the Reform Party in 1999, back to the Democrats in 2001, back again to the Republicans in 2009, he registered as an independent in 2011, and back once more to the Republican Party in 2012. His political views swing back and forth like Johnny Knoxville's you-know-what and Bad Grandpa. Now sure, it's possible for someone to change their mind once, twice, even 3 times, but you gotta admit it does make him look kinda suspicious. Republicans and Democrats have crazily different views on a whole bunch of things, and so seemingly does Donald Trump in 1989, Donald Trump in 1999, and Donald Trump today. He has previously endorsed legalizing drugs and abortion rights, but since changed his position on both. He described himself as somewhat liberal on social issues, especially healthcare, but now thinks the opposite. He once supported the banning of assault weapons, but now he doesn't. I mean, if Donald Trump changes his mind this much over politics, how the hell does he ever pick a show on Netflix? It's clearly going to be difficult to nail down what Trump thinks about the major issues which affect our time, because even though his website lists his policies, who knows if they'll change in office. What Trump will believe tomorrow is probably a mystery even to him, so perhaps the only thing Donald Trump believes in isn't destroying ISIS, it isn't banning abortion, and it doesn't seem to be the Republican Party. Perhaps the only thing that Donald Trump believes in is that Donald Trump should be president. Number 2, is he a secret Democrat? If you are a fan of Donald Trump, then your politics probably lean to the right. You hate gun control, you love unborn babies, and you like your walls to be longer than a Lord of the Rings director's cut. Republican voters have become mesmerized by Donald Trump's bombastic speeches where he claims he'll kick ISIS's ass and make America great again. And he might sound pretty convincing, but is Donald Trump saying what he truly believes, or is he faking it for a more sinister reason? Here's a meme you may have seen floating around the internet, which claims that in 1998, during an interview with People magazine regarding a potential presidential bid, Donald Trump said, "If I were to run, I'd run as a Republican. They're the dumbest group of voters in the country. They love anything on Fox News. I could lie and they'd still eat it up. I bet my numbers would be terrific." Wow. If you're a Republican, you might be offended by that kind of talk from your leading presidential candidate, but is it true? And if so, what the hell is Trump doing running for the Republicans? One theory claims that Trump is actually running to help Hillary Clinton, and that's a pretty bold statement to make considering some of Trump's remarks about her. In April last year, Trump tweeted, "If Hillary Clinton can't satisfy her husband, what makes her think she can satisfy America?" Ouch. I've not heard of anything burning anyone so hard since Charlie Sheen last took a whiz. So if Trump really is faking his Republican candidacy to help Clinton, he's doing a damn fine job at hiding it. But as these photographs show, the Trump and Clinton families were actually quite close in the past. The Clintons attended Trump's 2005 wedding to Melania Knauss. Trump has donated huge amounts to Clinton's foundation. And in 2012, Trump said he thought Hillary Clinton was, begin quote, "a terrific woman. I think she works really hard, and I think she does a good job. I like her," end quote. In fact, Trump has also donated to Hillary's campaign several times in the past. And in May of 2015, there are records which show he engaged in a secret mystery phone call with Bill Clinton, shortly before both Hillary and Trump announced their presidential campaigns. What was said on this phone call? Nobody knows, but it definitely looks suspicious. There's also a strange pattern which some people have noticed with Trump's speeches. Even his biggest fans admit he comes out with some insane stuff, but it seems his most attention-grabbing comments are made just after Democrats mess something up. Trump talked about closing borders to Muslims one day after Barack Obama's badly reviewed speech about ISIS, and stories about Hillary Clinton's secret emails and her response to the Benghazi consulate attack were also ignored by the press because of crazy stuff Trump said at the time. There's no doubt he's deflecting attention away from the bad stuff Democrats have done, but is he doing it on purpose? Is he a secret Democrat? Maybe, maybe not. Plenty of people have a history of donating to both parties, and Donald Trump says crazy stuff more often than he takes a breath. However, if we go back to the original quote about Republicans we kicked off with, research conducted in the People's Magazine online archive hasn't uncovered evidence of this quote anywhere. So what gives? Has Donald Trump erased all traces of it from Time Magazine's website? Or is this just a smear by his Republican and Democrat rivals? We don't know, but there is another quote which has been verified. In 1999, Donald Trump registered with the Independence Party as a candidate, and he gave this quote to the New York Times. Begin quote, "I really believe that Republicans are just too crazy right-wing," end quote. So if he isn't a Republican and he's not a Democrat, then we gotta ask ourselves, number 3, how many things with Trump's name on it does he actually own? Donald Trump really likes his name. He puts it on literally everything, from buildings and bottled water through to vodka, board games, steakhouses, chocolate, a magazine, a fragrance, and a university. There are even Donald Trump sanitary towels, although admittedly, he doesn't make these. We just thought it was cool that ladies can bleed on his face. At the current count, there are approximately 40 to 50 buildings, resorts, plazas, and towers around the world which bear the Trump name. So you may think that Donald has a pretty sweet property portfolio, but the fact is he owns barely any of these. One of Trump's most profitable ventures is licensing his name to other companies as a sign of luxury and elegance, because apparently that's what people associate with Donald Trump, luxury and elegance. This all started in the 1970s when a Trump project called the Riverside South Development ran out of money. Trump was forced to sell the whole thing to Hong Kong investors, but part of the deal was that the Trump name remained on the tower. He then realized this was a pretty sweet deal, and today there are 17 buildings in Manhattan alone with Trump's name on it, but he only owns a handful of them. Trump International Hotel, not his. Trump Palace, also not his. Trump Place, not his either. Trump Park Avenue, Trump Soho, Trump World Tower, Trump Plaza, none of these are owned by Donald Trump. Does Donald Trump even own Donald Trump? Maybe some Korean investors bought the lower half of his body when the ass fell out of the market. So yeah, the Donald keeps up a veneer of success by placing his name on a whole bunch of stuff that isn't his. So what else is he covering up? Who knows? But one thing we can be certain of is that Donald Trump was definitely the kind of kid who licked stuff to claim it as his. Number 4. Did Donald Trump see Muslims cheering on 9/11? Donald Trump has made some pretty astonishing claims in his time. He said he'll build a wall across the Mexican border, he's never seen a thin person drink Diet Coke, and that if Ivanka Trump wasn't his daughter, he'd probably be dating her. Wow. But I'll give him that last one. If Ivanka Trump was my daughter, I'd go full on hillbilly with that girl too. But in November 2015, Donald Trump claimed to have witnessed New Jersey Muslims celebrating as he watched the World Trade Center fall. Wow. Obviously, this is a pretty astonishing thing to claim. Initially, Dr. Ben Carson backed up this story, although he did later backtrack, with his voice so slow like a sloth on Ambien watching paint dry. But what's the deal? Was Trump telling the truth? Why did Carson back off? Did Muslims in New Jersey's Muslims celebrate the collapse of the Twin Towers? Almost certainly, definitely not. Both the Washington Post and the political fact-checking website PolitiFact analyzed this claim and completely debunked it. The only story of this ever happening came from an unverified report by the Associated Press, claiming a handful of people celebrated on a New Jersey rooftop. New Jersey's police commissioner at the time, Jerry Spezial, says this never happened. In fact, Trump's only source for this accusation is his own memory. He claims he saw it on TV, but no footage has ever been found from the archives. In all likelihood, Trump is merely using 9/11 as an emotive platform to make further comments about Muslims and national security. But then in February, he went one crazy step further and waded into the realm of 9/11 conspiracy theories. He now claims that if he's elected, the people will find out who really knocked down the World Trade Center. There are, of course, lots of unanswered questions about 9/11, but is this guy really the one with the answers? And if so, what does he know? Whatever secret he's hiding had better be damn good, because using 9/11 to stir up support for your campaign is like using your grandma's death to get out of homework. You'll get away with it once, but if anyone finds out you're talking crap, you are royally screwed. Number 5. Did Donald Trump skip out on the draft? The last American military draft system began in 1940, and recruitment for the Vietnam War started on December 1st, 1969, at which time Donald Trump was 23 years old and the proud owner of a perfectly normal haircut. But despite being completely eligible for the draft, he never served once. Why is that? Well, in 1964 and 65, when Trump was first eligible, he received student deferments. He received 2 more deferments while he was in business school, and when his education ended in 1968, he was reclassified as available for service, but he never made it to Vietnam. The records show Trump received medical deferment due to bone spurs in his heels, which is when the bone deforms to grow long and sharp inside your foot. Fair enough. That sounds like it'd be smart, but when you consider Trump played for his school's varsity football, soccer, and baseball teams throughout this time, that excuse doesn't really wash. Also, it does seem a little convenient that this medical condition suddenly developed in 1968, the year Trump's educational deferment ended. So how did he get out of serving? Did his rich daddy pay off the military? Was Trump too crazy to join? Did he insist on building walls every time he took basic training? Weirdly, Trump did attend a military prep school, and whilst there he achieved a medal for neatness, because he made his bed super well. Genuinely, that is an actual thing. Trump now says he always felt like he was in the military because of his time at the academy, which is kind of like me feeling like I'm Superman just because I'm wearing underwear over my pants. In fairness, Trump was never charged with avoiding the draft, and millions of men deferred for legitimate reasons. Dodging the draft in itself isn't a bad thing because that war was a really bad idea, but since this is a guy who wants to send our soldiers over to defeat ISIS, and who rags on John McCain for getting captured, you'd think he would have volunteered. But let's not judge Trump too harshly here because he has been through a lot in his life. For instance, as a young man, he grew up during the beginning of the AIDS crisis, and he says he felt like a great and very brave soldier who was lucky to have avoided contracting anything. In fact, he even described dating during the AIDS epidemic as his own personal Vietnam. That is a Platoon sequel nobody wants to see. Number 6. How much is Donald Trump really worth? The simple answer is we have no freaking clue. Not a good start, admittedly, but Trump himself claims he's worth $10 billion, whereas Forbes put him at $4 billion and some estimates as low as $3 billion. Yes, only $3 billion. What can you even buy with that in New York these days? Maybe a timeshare and a park bench that you'd have to share with an angry goose and a homeless Dean Cain? Poor hobo Superman. What does he even do anymore? The reason we can't put a definitive figure on Trump's worth is because he refuses to release his tax returns. Interesting. Trump admits he pays as little tax as possible, so there may be a very good reason why he doesn't want the law to know how much paper he's taking home. Trump has always tried to big up his earnings because that's part of his brand, but in 2005, reporter Timothy O'Brien was given information by 3 of Trump's closest associates that proved his net worth was only between 150 to 200 million. That's some serious walking around money, but nowhere near the $6 billion Trump claimed to have at the time. Trump wasn't very happy about this, so he did what he does best and sued the pants off of Timothy O'Brien. Unfortunately for Trump, he didn't win Timothy O'Brien's pants, or anything else for that matter, as he lost both the trial and the appeal. So, it's pretty hard to nail down how much Trump is actually worth. But my favorite quote about the situation comes from Donald himself when he said, begin quote, "My net worth fluctuates, and it goes up and down with markets, and with attitudes, and with feelings. Even my own feelings." End quote. Don't you wish you could do that? Especially if you're hitting on girls at a bar? Hey baby, I'm Nathan, and today I've decided that I'm worth, I don't know, a gazillion dollars. Yeah. Interestingly, one thing we do know about Donald Trump's income is that he receives a Screen Actors Guild pension of around $100,000 a year because of his TV roles in Home Alone 2, Sex and the City, and The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Donald Trump actually has a better acting career than Alfonso Ribeiro, but he'll never have that Carlton dance. He can never take that from you, Alfonso.